Hello, everybody. Today, I wanted to share my thoughts and feelings on Rogue One, which came out December 16th. This is a movie I've been very heavily awaiting. I've been waiting for this movie since The Force Awakens. I've never been so happy to see this movie come out. I've been more excited for this movie than I was for Episode 8. I've been heavily awaiting this, and I was able to see it last night. I don't know when this video will go up, but I saw it on a Sunday night. So I was I was on it was on a school night. I was making some close calls with time, but I did see it, and I'm very happy to say that Rogue One is a fantastic movie. I don't think there was any doubt in anybody's mind, but I think Rogue One is one of the best Star Wars films. In my opinion, it is in my top 3. This movie, or this, not this movie, it's not a popular opinion, but I do believe that Rogue One is in my top 3 favorite Star Wars films. My top 3 favorite Star Wars films are, of course, number 1 being Empire Strikes Back, and number 2 being Revenge of the Sith. Sorry, I know that's not a popular opinion. Like I said, a lot of people hate the prequels, and I completely understand why. And I know all the flaws of Revenge of the Sith. Trust me, I've seen them. I have to face that. But in terms of the movie, I love it. But we're not here to talk about Revenge of the Sith or my personal preference on favorite Star Wars movies. I wanted to say that this is my 3rd favorite Star Wars movie as of right now, and I currently think this is just an amazing film in general, and not just a Star Wars film. It's a great war movie. It's a great movie about, you know, the stealing of the Death Star plans. Really, I can't really say anything else about it. This movie is about the stealing of the Death Star plans. We all know how that ends. And some people may not want to see the movie just because, oh, I already know what's going to happen. Why would I go and see it? But this movie is definitely worth a viewing, probably even 2. I love this movie very much. I love the characters within it, and while it does have its flaws, I would say this is definitely something you should see. Like I said, Star Wars fan or not, please go watch this movie if you can. I know a lot of people, it's the holidays, so you know they can't. They should be seeing it, but they may not, and that sucks because this is a great movie. I think it's raked in about 290 million so far. It's doing pretty well, which is good to see, because this movie definitely deserves a lot more than it's getting. I think everyone should go see this, and I need to stop saying that because I actually do want to talk about this a little bit. So the first thing I have to say in terms of bad is that, because I've been talking about how amazing this movie is for the past minute, but what I have to say is that the movie is a little boring within the first hour. I have to say that the first hour of this movie is a bit slow. It's just kind of a lot of politics, just talking about stuff. And while that stuff is really interesting to me because I want to understand, and I'm looking for Easter eggs and all sorts of little things like that, to the everyday viewer, that may not be something they want to watch, and I completely understand why. I even found myself just kind of waiting, just hoping that something would happen. And there are things that do happen, but it's not a full-blown, keeps you entertained the whole time. And of course, I understand that there needs to be character development and things like that, but it does get boring to a certain extent when you're just watching people talk for an hour. But after that, it's all smooth sailing. Pretty much everything past the 1 hour mark is just great. I have no real complaints past that. Aside from the story just being something we already know and not really original, I can deal with that because it is a great movie. It shows the story of how the Death Star plans were stolen, and it definitely, I don't really consider this a spoiler. I hope you don't either. It's not really, but it does answer the question of, well, why is the Death Star this big, massive super weapon, yet it was taken down so easily in A New Hope? It does answer that question, and I'm very happy to see that because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense why the Death Star is just this giant, massive super weapon, yet it gets taken down by one shot from a rebel pilot. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. But that question is answered. You can really even figure it out before the movie even comes out, just by all the trailers and everything they've said. But besides that, I'm really happy to see that they answered that. And if I had to pick one favorite character in this movie, I think everyone can agree, it would be Darth Vader. He was just awesome. He was pure fan service. A lot of people complained that he did not need to be in this movie. Or he need sorry, not that he didn't need to be, but that he needed more screen time. And while I would have liked that, people don't seem to understand the fact that he really didn't need to be in this movie. If you think about it, he has no real business being there, and it may have even screwed something up. I'm not going to get into that, but besides that, anyways, he didn't have to be in this movie, and when he was in the movie, it was just fantastic. I loved every second of it. Every second he was on screen. He was only on screen for about maybe 4 minutes, maybe 5 if we're getting stretching it a bit. I was engulfed and just so excited to see him. Darth Vader was easily the best part of this movie, aside from the other characters. But just every scene with him was a blast. It was a blast to see him. James Earl Jones is back to voice his character, and everybody loves Darth Vader. He's the best movie villain of all time, for God's sake. That's an opinion, but most people would agree. Aside from him, another great character many people will state is K2SO, the lovable droid. Every film has it, and he's there. He's great. I just wish there was, once again, a bit more of him. I don't really understand why he was in the film so little, but it's not that big of a deal. He did crack some really good jokes. I did laugh out loud in the theater a few times because of the jokes that were made in this movie. This movie is pretty comedic, but it's also very dark. It is the darkest Star Wars film, next to probably maybe Empire or definitely 100% Revenge of the Sith, and it really does shine in that aspect. The story does get a little bit weird at some points. For example, they'll have characters there 1 second, and then the next second they're gone. You never see them again. And I wish that didn't happen, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And yeah, I really think that's it in terms of flaws. One thing I have to say, aside from, of course, John Williams' original music, I wasn't really paying attention, but I didn't really notice the music in this movie that much. It wasn't very memorable. It was fine. It just, it pales in comparison to the original music, which, is going to happen. The original Star Wars music by John Williams, it doesn't matter what it is in the prequels or not, it's amazing, and you can't change that. Nothing will really ever beat that. But yeah, I think that wraps up this review of Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. This is the first anthology film that is going to come out set. It won't have a sequel, obviously. I don't know if you guys have seen all the jokes and shit, but a lot of Rogue One 2 is basically A New Hope. But we are going to see a Han Solo film and possibly a Boba Fett film, and I cannot wait to review those films. If I had to give this film a rating, it would be a solid 8. It'd be a solid 8 because while the movie is fantastic, its characters, while likable and for the most part memorable, a lot of them are just kind of throwaway characters because they can't really show up in other films. They weren't in the original trilogy, so their characters can't be fleshed out that well, and that it does suck to see. Rogue One is a fantastic movie. It doesn't matter if it's a Star Wars movie or not. This movie was great, and I think everyone should go out and see it right now. It's definitely a solid movie, and I highly recommend it. And yeah, guys, tell me what you thought in the comments below. Tell me what you guys thought of Rogue One, if you think it's what it is on your favorite Star Wars list, because, like I said, for me, it's number 3. And yeah, guys, I'll see you in the next video.